Very good evening to you. Welcome to Friday's programme with Anne Davis and me, Dominic Heel. First tonight, 8 people have been jailed after a Nottinghamshire car dealership was used to run a nationwide drugs network. Vehicles were rebuilt with secret compartments that could only be detected by X-rays.
The 8 were arrested as part of a global inquiry into Robert Dawes, a suspected crime boss from Sutton-in-Ashfield. He's accused of importing huge quantities of drugs from South American cartels, and he's been linked to a wave of killings. Our social affairs correspondent Jeremy Ball reports.
Police helicopter footage that revealed how a drugs network destroyed damning evidence, a car being dismantled at Rainworth in Nottinghamshire, only hours after its driver was arrested in Portugal. He'd been caught with cocaine worth £7 million.
Which part of the situation was adapted?
It was part of a joint investigation by the East Midlands Special Operations Unit and the National Crime Agency into a group of violent criminals who used cars with secret compartments to supply drug dealers across the country.
The drugs would be coming from a variety of different sources, both on the continent and worldwide. It would come into the UK, and those drugs would ultimately be seen on the streets of Nottingham, Derby, Leicester and the rest of the UK.
Detectives discovered some of the secret drugs compartments under car windscreens and gearboxes with sophisticated pinprick locking systems. They seized more than half a tonne of cocaine and amphetamines, and they stopped one courier in Leicester with more than £100,000 in cash. The ringleaders were Christopher Turton, who's been jailed for 10 years, and Dale Wright, who received a shorter sentence. Also sent to prison accomplices who moved or stored their drugs or laundered money abroad, and one who supplied encrypted phones. And this is where it was based, at a car dealership in Rainworth that's now been sold to legitimate owners. When Turton and Wright were in charge here, it was the Southall Motor Group. That was a front, an easy way to move drugs and to launder money, and detectives believe it was the British arm of a global trafficking network. The man suspected of leading that network was arrested at his luxury villa in Spain last year, a man called Robert Dawes, who's originally from Sutton-in-Ashfield. The Spanish Civil Guard say he was running Europe's largest crime group involved in drug trafficking, money laundering and murder. They've also linked him to the Italian mafia and to a wave of killings in the Netherlands.
Robert Dawes is truly a global person of interest in terms of global trafficking of drugs at the very highest levels. We've been looking at the international part of the Rob Dawes organised crime group. But at the same time, we've also looked at the impact it has in the UK itself, who is involved with the supply chain and who we can target to reduce the harm to the streets of the Midlands area.
It's 11 years since Robert Dawes was first named publicly at 2 major drugs trials in Nottingham. Now he's in custody, waiting for his own trial in France, where he's accused of trafficking more than a tonne of cocaine from South America.
Well, Jeremy's with us now. So what's the significance of these latest sentences of the 8?
Well, first of all, I'm pleased to say they've brought down one of this region's largest organised crime groups. And they also say this is making Nottinghamshire safer because there was a lot of violence, there was intimidation, guns were being used. In fact, in one case, one of the ringleaders, Christopher Turton, was shot in the groin, but still refused to talk to the police. And then just look at this grainy picture. This is a Nottingham dealer called Daniel Yeboah who was buying Turton's drugs. Now, he admitted possessing the assault rifle in this photo, and that's an SA-80, which is the weapon that's used by the British Army.
I gather other people have been jailed as a part of these investigations.
Yeah, in the first part of this year, 8 men from a Nottingham-based drugs network was sent to prison. Now, that followed another of the National Crime Agency's investigations into Robert Dawes. There have been 2 other men locked up in Portugal. Now, that was after cocaine was seized from a yacht which had sailed from South America, and that was being collected by the owner of the car that we saw being dismantled back in Rainworth.
Oh, Jeremy, thanks very much indeed.